The video dropped into our condo's private Facebook group without warning. A grainy, pixelated clip from the underground parking garage. In it, a man and a woman were locked in a frantic embrace inside a white Porsche Macan. They kissed, their bodies pressing together, until one of them reached up and pulled down the sun visor, blocking the camera's view. What happened next didn't need to be seen to be understood. The digital sleuths of the Summit Residence group went to work immediately. Based on the car model and the prime, wall-adjacent parking spot on the P2 level, they zeroed in on the owner in minutes. Suddenly, the feed in the members-only group, with its several hundred residents, exploded. At architect_Ethan, you better get in here. Isn't this your ride? Your wife sure knows how to have a good time. Damn, in broad daylight. Wait, no, in a dark garage? Kids these days have no shame. Hey, Ethan, you been working too hard lately? Gotta pay more attention to the missus. Looks like she got a little lonely. Who's the guy? He looks kind of familiar. The tags, the jokes, the gleeful rubbernecking. It all came in a tidal wave. Every notification was another poison dart hitting my heart. The account they were tagging at architect_Ethan was mine, and the woman in the beige trench coat, no matter how blurry the video, was instantly recognizable. It was my wife, Chloe, the same Chloe who had texted me just minutes earlier saying, "Hey babe, the project going to crunch time. Might be a late one tonight." My phone screen was still lit up, our iMessage chat open. 15 minutes ago. Chloe, honey, they just called an emergency meeting. Won't be home for dinner. Grab something for yourself. Don't starve. Me, okay. Thanks for the heads up. How late will you be? Chloe, hard to say. Could be an all-nighter. Don't wait up for me. Just go to sleep. I had even sent back a gif of a cheering cat with the caption, "You're the best. Go get him." Looking at it now, that gif felt like a giant, flashing middle finger pointed directly at my own face. An all-nighter. An all-nighter in my Porsche with some random guy. My name is Ethan Cole, and I'm an architect. Chloe and I were college sweethearts. After graduation, we stayed in San Francisco to build a life together, starting with nothing and grinding our way to a sprawling penthouse in one of the city's most exclusive high-rises, with 2 nice cars in the garage. I designed this condo myself. Every line, every finish, every square foot was infused with my love for her and my vision for our future. And that Macan? I gave it to her for her birthday last year. She'd thrown her arms around me, tears in her eyes, and told me I was the best husband in the world. The messages in the Facebook group were still flooding in, dozens per second. The most active poster was an account named TowerC_Brenda 802. She was the one who had posted the video. Brenda at architect_Ethan, you just gonna play dead? This is huge. You gotta say something. If my husband ever pulled this, I'd break both his legs. A chorus of agreement followed. Brenda's right. You can't let her walk all over you like that. Brenda, you know, I always saw Ethan's wife around the building, acting all quiet and stuck up. Guess you never know what people are like behind closed doors. Man up, Ethan. Say something. At architect_Ethan. I stared at the screen, my chest tight, the air sucked out of my lungs. Rage, betrayal, humiliation. A molten mix of emotions churned in my gut. I was so close, so incredibly close to firing back, to tearing them all apart in the comments. But as my fingers hovered over the keyboard, a switch flipped. I'm an architect. My entire career is built on bringing order to chaos, on taking a mess of lines and building a stable, coherent structure. My rational mind told me that lashing out now was the weakest, most useless thing I could do. It would only make me the laughingstock of the entire building. I closed the Facebook app and dialed Chloe's number. It rang for a long time before she picked up. When she did, her voice was tinged with panic, slightly out of breath. "Hello, Ethan? What's up?" I'm in a meeting." In the background, I could faintly hear the sound of a car horn and engine rumble. I stood in our silent living room, gazing out at the glittering expanse of the city lights, my voice as cold as the glass I was looking through. "A meeting? What kind of meeting?" "The kind you have in my Macan." The other end of the line went dead silent. For a good 10 seconds, there was nothing. I could practically hear her sharp intake of breath. Then, her voice came back, shrill and frantic. "Ethan, what the hell are you talking about? What is that supposed to mean? Are you following me?" Flipping the script, trying to make it my fault. Brilliant. A cold, humorless laugh escaped my lips. "Do I need to follow you?" "Chloe, Check the Summit Residents Facebook group. It's pretty lively right now. With that, I hung up. I didn't need to imagine the look of pure terror on her face. I sat on the couch and chain-smoked, one cigarette after another. In the haze, the movie of our life together, from meeting in a lecture hall to our wedding day, flashed through my mind on fast forward. I thought we were the blueprint for a perfect love story. It turns out I was the only one in the cast. About 20 minutes later, the front door clicked open. Chloe was home. Her makeup was smudged, her hair was a mess, and her eyes darted everywhere except at me. The moment she was inside, she rushed toward me, her voice already thick with tears. "Ethan, you have to let me explain. It's not what you think. That video in the group, it's photoshopped. Someone is trying to sabotage us." I sidestepped, letting her stumble past me. She nearly fell. Her performance was pathetic. "Photoshop." I stubbed out my cigarette and stood up, towering over her. "Then tell me, how did you manage to teleport back from your office 30 miles away in 15 minutes? The color drained from her face. Her lie shattered. She immediately switched tactics, tears now streaming down her cheeks. "Ethan, I'm so sorry. I made a mistake." She dropped to her knees, grabbing my legs, her sobs racking her body. "Please, just forgive me this one time. I was having a moment of weakness. He seduced me. You're the only one I love, I swear." A moment of weakness? I repeated the words, the irony burning my tongue. "Who is he?" I asked, my voice devoid of any emotion. Chloe flinched. Her eyes flickered away. "He's just a guy from work. He wouldn't leave me alone. I was just trying to tell him to back off for good, and then..." Still lying. Even now, she was still lying. I crouched down slowly, grabbing her chin and forcing her to look me in the eye. "Chloe, I'm giving you one last chance. Who is he?" Maybe it was the ice in my voice, but she shrank back, finally whispering a name. Mark Harris." My world tilted on its axis. Mark Harris, the husband of Tower C_Brenda 802. The woman who was leading the online mob, baying for my blood. My mind went blank, a roar of white noise filling my ears. Of course, it was perfect. What a sick, twisted little play. A woman was gleefully live-streaming her own husband's affair to hundreds of people, all while relentlessly tagging me, the poor cuckold, telling me to get my wife in line. She couldn't possibly imagine that the male lead in her viral video was the very same man she paraded on her own Facebook page as the perfect, loving husband. In that instant, a wave of incandescent rage mixed with a surreal sense of cosmic absurdity washed over me, and I almost laughed out loud. I let go of Chloe's chin and stood up slowly. "I get it now," I said. No shouting, no accusations, just those 4 quiet words. Chloe stared at me, stunned. This clearly wasn't the reaction she'd expected. "Ethan, does this mean you'll forgive me?" she asked, a sliver of hope in her voice. I looked down at her, as if she were a complete stranger. "No," I said. "It means I know exactly what I need to do." For the next 2 days, I became a local celebrity in our building. I remained silent in the Facebook group, letting the gossip fester and grow. Seeing no reaction from me, Brenda doubled down. Every few hours, she'd post a new jab, a new insult. "Spineless coward, gets cheated on and doesn't have the guts to say a word. Useless man." The comments got uglier and uglier. When I walked through the lobby, people would stare and then quickly look away, whispering behind their hands. The news even reached my firm, with colleagues trying to discreetly ask me what was going on. I was everyone's favorite punching bag, the resident sad sack. Meanwhile, Chloe played the part of the perfect penitent. She cried, she begged, she got on her knees, she even slapped her own face. She wrote a long, rambling letter promising to cut Mark Harris out of her life, forever, pleading for another chance. Her excuse was her screw-up of a younger brother. She claimed he'd racked up a massive gambling debt in Vegas, and that thugs were threatening to break his legs. She was desperate, and Mark, who worked as a private lender, offered to clear the debt. The condition, of course, was her. "Ethan, I had no choice. I couldn't just let them kill my brother, could I?" she sobbed. "I never took the money. I didn't want a dime from him. I was trying to end things with him today, for good." Such a noble reason. Such a touching display of sisterly devotion. If I hadn't already been suspicious, I might have actually believed her. Faced with her tears and apologies, I kept a stone face, but allowed a few cracks of hesitation to show. I told her to put the letter away, that I needed time to think. This gave her a massive surge of hope. She thought I still cared about our marriage, that this was something we could fix. She started trying twice as hard, acting like a submissive servant, cooking my favorite meals, doing all the laundry, giving me back rubs, constantly watching my face for any sign of forgiveness. But she had no idea that while she was putting on her show, I was quietly setting my own stage. My first move was to take a day off and visit one of the top law firms in the city to discuss divorce and asset division. The lawyer was clear. Under California law, infidelity, while a factor, wouldn't be enough to leave her with nothing. She'd be entitled to half of our community property, unless I could prove she was actively and maliciously trying to hide, transfer, or defraud me of those assets. That piece of information was critical. My second move was to spend $7,000 on a highly recommended private investigator. I didn't need more proof of the affair. I had the video for that. I needed something deeper, darker, something that would be a kill shot. I needed to know when it started, what they'd done behind my back, and if there was more to this than just a moment of weakness. My instructions to the P.I. were simple. Find evidence that Chloe and Mark Harris were trying to fraudulently move my assets. Mr. Cole, are you certain your wife is involved in that kind of activity? The investigator asked, a bit skeptical. I looked out his office window. I'm not, I said calmly. But if this was just about cheating, I wouldn't be paying you. I'm betting it's not that simple. A woman doesn't betray a decade-long marriage to a husband who has given her everything for a man who is objectively her husband's inferior in every way. Not just for a cheap thrill, and certainly not just to save her deadbeat brother. The logic didn't track. There had to be a bigger prize. And the biggest prize we had was this multi-million-dollar penthouse and the seven-figure income from my architectural firm. We bought the condo early. Its market value had since tripled to over $4 million. The title was in both our names. I had always let Chloe handle our finances. My bet was on simple, timeless greed. The P.I. was fast. 3 days later, the first batch of files landed in my encrypted inbox. It contained hotel receipts for Chloe and Mark from the past 6 months. A long, damning list of stays at every five-star hotel in the Bay Area. There were also credit card statements from high-end boutiques. Over $80,000 in bags and jewelry that Mark had bought for Chloe. Items I had never seen. I stared at the surveillance photos. In them, Chloe was smiling, radiant, holding Mark's arm. The genuine, unforced joy on her face was something I hadn't seen directed at me in a very long time. She hadn't stopped smiling. She just stopped smiling at me. But what truly turned my blood to ice was the second file. It was an audio recording. The background noise suggested a coffee shop. It was a conversation between Chloe and Mark. Mark, so, has your pathetic excuse for a husband cracked yet? I'm telling you, babe, you should just lay it on him. Demand a divorce, take half the condo, and we can cash out and get the hell out of here. Chloe, no, it won't work. You don't know Ethan. He's stubborn, plays by the rules. If I just ask for a divorce now, he'll fight me on every little thing. The asset division could get dragged through the courts for years. And his firm, most of the income doesn't even flow through our joint account. I can't touch it. Mark, so what's the plan? We can't just wait around forever. How much longer can you keep playing this sob story about your idiot brother? Chloe's voice was slick with cunning. What's the rush? I got it all worked out. I told my brother he needs to stage a huge drama. Say the loan sharks gave him a final deadline, and they're going to kill him if he doesn't pay up. Ethan's biggest weakness is that he's soft, and he's obsessed with appearances. I'll cry. I'll threaten to do something crazy, make him feel like it's his fault for not helping, for pushing me to this. Once he agrees to sell the condo, we're golden. Mark, sell the condo. How do we get the money? Chloe, I've already got a buyer lined up. Brenda's cousin, or something. We'll use a dual contract. Lowball the official sale price on paper. The rest of the cash will be wired directly to an account I set up. Ethan will walk away with, at most, a third of the market value. The moment the money clears, I file for divorce, and we take the cash and disappear. Mark let out a sleazy laugh. Babe, you're a goddamn genius. Your husband's precious little dream house is about to become our escape fund. We'll go buy a place in the Caribbean, and you can give me all-nighters every night. Chloe's voice turned playful. Stop it. Oh, speaking of, is your wife getting suspicious? That woman's a psycho. Mark snorted dismissively. Her, she's dumb as a rock. All she does is play mahjong and get her nails done. I told her I've been traveling for work, and she actually feels sorry for me. Besides, I pay for everything. She wouldn't dare question me. The recording ended. I sat in the darkness of my home office, perfectly still, like a statue. The blood in my veins felt frozen. If the affair was a knife in the back, this recording was a poisoned chainsaw. It didn't just cut me, it tore through my heart, my lungs, my dignity, and the entire 10-year history of my life, shredding it all to pieces. There was no moment of weakness. This was a long con, a meticulously planned scheme, orchestrated by my wife and her lover, designed to strip me of everything I had ever worked for. And Brenda, the self-righteous crusader, was just another pawn, played for a fool by her own husband and my wife. Sell my condo, use a fraudulent contract to steal my share of the equity. The plan was absolutely diabolical. I suddenly remembered something. A couple of weeks ago, Chloe had brought up her brother's problems, asking if we could consider selling the condo to help him out. We could buy a smaller place later, she'd said. I dismissed it as absurd. This is our home, Chloe, not an ATM. I'd told her, your brother's gambling is a black hole. You can't fill it. Now I realized it wasn't a suggestion. It was the opening move of their game, an accidental video in the Facebook group. Probably not an accident at all. Maybe they'd had a fight, or maybe Mark was getting impatient and leaked it to force my hand, to shatter my marriage and accelerate their plan. They just never counted on the video falling into the hands of the one person who would love the drama the most, his own wife. One domino knocking over the next. It was almost impressive. I closed my laptop and exhaled a long, slow breath. It tasted like blood, but it also carried a strange sense of calm. There is nothing more liberating than a dead heart. When every last drop of love and affection has been crushed into dust, all that remains is cold, hard reason, and a burning desire for retribution. Chloe, Mark, you love to act. Fine, I'll produce a show you'll never forget. The next day, I asked Chloe to meet me for coffee to talk. I chose a cafe right downstairs from our building at a table by the window. She arrived wearing a dress I'd bought her makeup flawless, her eyes filled with nervous hope. She looked like a prisoner awaiting a pardon. Ethan, she began, her voice barely a whisper. Have you made a decision? I nodded, my expression heavy with manufactured grief. Chloe, I've been doing a lot of thinking. We've been together for 10 years. I can't throw all of that away because of one mistake. Her eyes lit up with pure, unadulterated relief. Then I sighed, twisting the knife. But after what happened, we can't live in that condo anymore. I can handle the whispers and the stares from the neighbors, but I'm worried about you. I let the sentence hang. Chloe immediately jumped on it, her eyes welling up. Ethan, I know. It's all my fault. I'm so sorry I embarrassed you. You're right. We can't stay here. Maybe we should sell the place. We could get a fresh start somewhere new. She was so good. She was so damn good at this. I almost wanted to applaud. I pretended to hesitate. Sell it? But I designed every inch of that place. I know you love it, she said, grabbing my hand. But this is an emergency. It's better to rip the Band-Aid off quickly. We sell the condo, take the money, and leave this toxic place behind. We can move to a city where nobody knows us and buy a new home. Okay? And it would also help with my brother. She trailed off, her face a perfect mask of conflicted anguish. I let out a long, weary sigh after a few moments of agonized silence, then finally nodded. Okay, I said, looking defeated. We'll do it your way. But I don't know the first thing about selling real estate. I'll leave it all to you. I looked at her, my eyes filled with a carefully crafted blend of trust and dependence. Chloe was practically vibrating with joy. She nodded furiously. Yes, okay. Don't you worry about a thing, honey. You can count on me. I'll handle everything. I know someone who can help us sell it fast, and for a fair price. Is this friend of yours reliable? I asked, as if it were an afterthought. Totally reliable. It's Brenda from Tower C. She's super nice, always willing to help. I hid my cold smile. Of course it was. The entire cast of characters was about to take the stage. Okay, I nodded. I trust you. And just like that, in a small cafe, the deal for a $4 million property was sealed with a lie. After Chloe left, I pulled out my phone and sent a text to the P. Keep going. I want definitive proof of the dual contract scheme, info on the buyer, and the final destination of the funds. Then, I made another call. It was to Alex, a buddy of mine from college who is now a detective in the SFPD's white-collar crime division. Hey, Alex, I need you to run a background check on someone for me. A guy named Mark Harris. He runs some kind of private lending company. I want to know if he's clean. The next week was a masterclass in theater. Chloe and Brenda became inseparable, the best of friends, huddled together daily to plot the grand sale of my condo. Brenda, I'm sure, thought she was the hero of the story, helping the poor, cheated-on husband escape his misery, while also pocketing a tidy commission from her cousin, the buyer. She had no idea her new best friend and her own husband were planning to take the lion's share and leave her in the dust. Mark, in turn, played the role of the doting husband to perfection. He came home on time, brought Brenda gifts, and plastered photos of them all over his social media, cooing about his amazing wife. He had her completely fooled. In the residents' Facebook group, Brenda's tone toward me shifted. She was no longer on the attack. Instead, she was magnanimous. You know, I feel for Ethan. It's tough to be married to someone like that. But he's decided to sell the condo and get a fresh start, which I think is very brave. Let's all give him some space. I'm helping them find a buyer, making sure they get a fair price. That's what neighbors are for, right? Her posts dripped with condescending pity and a smug sense of superiority. People praised her for being such a great neighbor and so kind-hearted. I read the comments and felt nothing but a cold, dark amusement. They were all puppets in a play they didn't even know they were in, and I, the only one who knew the whole script, was sitting in the director's chair, watching them all dance on their strings. On a Friday afternoon, Chloe came home, her face flushed with excitement, waving a purchase agreement. Ethan, quick. The buyer is ready. The contract is drawn up. Just sign here, and we can close tomorrow. I took the document. The sale price listed was $2 million, half the market value. A clause in the addendum stated that due to the buyer's financing, the payment would be structured. An initial down payment of $500,000, with the remaining balance to be paid within a year. It was a perfect trap. The second I signed, they'd get their hands on $500,000 and vanish. The remaining $5 million would become a phantom debt I'd never collect. And of that initial payment, I'd only be entitled to half, per community property laws. They were using half of my own asset to steal the other half. The math was viciously elegant. Who's the buyer? I asked, flipping to the signature page. A name I didn't recognize was printed there. Chloe's eyes flickered nervously. Oh, just Brenda's cousin. He's a businessman. A really nice guy. I nodded and picked up a pen. Chloe's gaze was fixed on my hand. Her breathing grew shallow. She thought this was it, and she was right. I was at a sign, just not here. I capped the pen and put it down. A deal this big, we should do it in person, I said. Set up a meeting with the buyer, the agent, and Brenda. I want to thank her for all her help. Chloe froze for a second. Then her face broke into a massive grin. She thought this was a formality, a ceremony to mark the happy occasion. Yes, of course. Great idea. I'll set it up right away. Oh, Ethan, you're the best. She threw her arms around me. I let her hold me, my body rigid. I didn't push her away, but I didn't hug her back. My gaze drifted over her shoulder to the window, my expression turning to ice. It was time to close. The signing was scheduled to take place in a private room at the building's club lounge. Chloe, Mark, Brenda, and the so-called buyer, a short, slick-looking man in his 50s, were all there when I arrived. Mark was there as Brenda's husband, his arm draped possessively around her, projecting an air of casual success. Brenda was glowing, playing the role of master of ceremonies. Ethan, you made it. Come, sit. This is Mr. Zhang, the buyer. Mr. Zhang, this is the owner, Ethan Cole. Mr. Zhang extended a fleshy hand. Mr. Cole, a pleasure. I'm a great admirer of your work. The condo is magnificent. I ignored his hand, gave a curt nod, and took the seat at the head of the table. Chloe sat next to me, wringing her hands, shooting me anxious looks. I acted as if I didn't see them. The air in the room was thick with a strange tension. Brenda, ever the social director, tried to break the silence. Well, Ethan, Mr. Zhang has made a very generous offer, and we've all reviewed the contract. If everything looks good to you, why don't we get this signed today and put this whole chapter behind you? She pushed the contract across the table toward me. I picked it up but didn't open it. Instead, I looked around the table, my eyes moving slowly from one person to the next, like a scalpel making a precise incision. From the smug, self-satisfied Brenda, to the coolly confident Mark, to the nervously excited Chloe, and finally, to the buyer, Mr. Zhang. Mr. Zhang, I said, my voice quiet but cutting through the silence. May I ask you a few questions? He looked surprised. Of course, Mr. Cole. This contract states a purchase price of $2 million, with a down payment of $500,000. Is that correct? Yes, that's right. I'm curious about the remaining $1.5 million. When and how do you intend to pay it? Zhang exchanged a quick, nervous glance with Chloe and Mark, then forced a smile. Mr. Cole, don't worry, it's all in the addendum. The balance will be paid within a year. As for the method, we can work that out. Wire, cashier's check, whatever you prefer. Is that so? I smiled, a cold, sharp thing that didn't reach my eyes. Because I was under the impression you had no intention of ever paying the rest of it. The atmosphere in the room shattered. Chloe's face went white as a sheet. Mark's smile froze on his lips. Mr. Zhang sputtered, his eyes wide with panic. Mr. Cole, what are you implying? This is a legitimate transaction. It's all in writing. You can't just make wild accusations. Brenda, who had been completely lost, now frowned. Ethan, what is your problem? We're trying to help you, and now you're accusing us of something. I ignored them all. I reached into my briefcase and pulled out a thick manila folder and a small digital voice recorder, placing them firmly on the table. Wild accusations? I tossed a stack of glossy photographs onto the table. They fanned out, revealing shot after shot of Chloe and Mark, wrapped around each other outside hotels and inside designer stores. Brenda, I said, turning to her. Her jaw was hanging open. Why don't you take a look? See if you recognize the man who's all over your new best friend. Her eyes fell to the photos, and she looked as if she'd been struck by lightning. Her hand trembled as she picked one up, her gaze darting from the familiar face of her husband in the picture to the man sitting beside her, then to Chloe across the table. Mark, what? What is this? You explain this to me right now. Her voice was a piercing shriek. Mark's face was a pasty, gray mask of terror. He opened and closed his mouth, but no sound came out. Chloe looked like she was about to collapse. Explain. I gave another cold laugh and pressed the play button on the recorder. So, has your pathetic excuse for a husband cracked yet? Cash out and get the hell out of here. Your wife? She's dumb as a rock. The conspiratorial voices of Mark and Chloe filled the small room. Every word was a sledgehammer, slamming into Brenda's heart. Her face cycled through a storm of emotions, from crimson rage to ashen shock to a deep, bruised purple. She looked at Mark, then at Chloe, her eyes blazing with humiliation and a primal fury. Ag! With a guttural scream, Brenda launched herself across the table at Chloe, grabbing her hair, clawing at her face, her words a torrent of vitriol. You bitch! You goddamn whore! I thought you were my friend, and you were screwing my husband and trying to steal my money. I'll kill you. Mark tried to intervene, but Brenda spun around and slapped him hard across the face, leaving 5 perfect red fingerprints on his cheek. The room descended into chaos, a whirlwind of screaming, cursing, and crying. A meticulously planned crime had devolved into a Jerry Springer-worthy brawl, and I just sat there, watching the whole thing unfold. In the middle of the pandemonium, the door swung open. Several uniformed police officers walked in, followed by my friend, Alex. Police! Nobody move. The command sliced through the chaos, freezing everyone in place. Brenda and Chloe were pulled apart, both disheveled and sobbing. Mark and Mr. Zhang were huddled in a corner, trembling like cornered rats. Alex walked over to me and clapped me on the shoulder. It's all taken care of. I nodded. Alex cleared his throat and addressed the room. Mark Harris, Henry Zhang, you're both under arrest in connection with an ongoing investigation into wire fraud and embezzlement. You have the right to remain silent. Mark and Zhang looked like their souls had left their bodies. It turned out that while I was setting my trap, Alex's investigation had hit pay dirt. Mark's private lending company was a front for an illegal loan sharking operation, complete with predatory loans and violent collection tactics. And the money he'd been spending on Chloe wasn't his. It was embezzled from the company. He'd been stealing from his own partners, one of whom had already been building a case against him. Alex's inquiry had just lit the fuse. The condo scam was just one of many cons they were running. Now, they were caught red-handed. As they were being led away in handcuffs, Mark shot me a look of pure, venomous hatred. I met his gaze with a calm, almost pitiful expression. He would go to his grave, never understanding how he'd lost. He was too greedy, too arrogant, and he had chosen the wrong person to screw with. But it wasn't over. Just when everyone thought the story was about a wife and her lover trying to scam a husband, I played my final card. After the police left, the room was quiet except for the ragged sobs of Chloe and the hollow, shell-shocked breathing of Brenda. Brenda was crumpled on the floor, staring into space, muttering, "Why?" The woman who had ruled the Facebook group, so certain of her place in the world, had lost her husband, her friend, and her dignity all in one afternoon. Her world had collapsed. Chloe, after her initial terror, seemed to find a new surge of desperate energy. She scrambled over to me on her knees, grabbing my legs, ready for one final, Oscar-worthy performance. Ethan, I was wrong. But I was a victim, too. Mark tricked me. He said he could help my brother, that he loved me, that he would leave Brenda for me. He manipulated me. I never want to take your money. He made me do it. She was trying to paint herself as the innocent, tragic heroine of the story. A few days ago, I would have been sickened by her flawless acting. Now I just found it sad. I pulled my leg away and looked down at her, my eyes holding no anger, no hatred, just a vast, arctic emptiness. "Chloe," I said flatly, "are you done acting? Does it even matter anymore?" I reached into my briefcase one last time and pulled out another document, placing it gently on the table in front of her. It was a copy of a stock transfer agreement for my architectural firm. A month ago, my voice echoed in the quiet room. "Did you or did you not contact my business partner, Leo, behind my back?" Chloe's sobs stopped instantly. She looked up at me, her eyes wide with a new kind of horror, the horror of total exposure. "Did you tell Leo that I developed a serious gambling problem, that I'd lost a fortune in Vegas and needed cash fast? Did you offer to sell him my 51% controlling stake in the firm for a fire sale price of $300,000? I kept going. Each were a nail in her coffin. "You even forged my signature on a power of attorney document. If Leo and I hadn't been friends for 15 years, if he hadn't thought something was fishy and called me to check, Chloe, I wouldn't be standing here right now. I'd be fighting a lawsuit for my own company." That was her real endgame. The condo was just the appetizer. The main course was my life's work, the firm that brought in millions a year. She and Mark weren't just lovers. They were wolves, and they had planned to eat me alive, leaving nothing but bones. His loan sharking business was meant to be their money laundering machine. To make her story more convincing, she had even paid her brother to go to Vegas and create a fake trail of casino debt. And I had been completely blind. I thought she was vain, that she was foolish, that she was swept up in a stupid affair. I never imagined she was capable of such profound, calculated evil. I never imagined the woman I had loved and cherished for a decade was capable of methodically plotting my complete and utter destruction. Chloe finally broke. Every lie, every deception was stripped away, leaving her naked and exposed under the weight of the evidence. She collapsed onto the floor, her face a mask of pure despair. "Ethan, you knew everything," she whispered, her voice a raw, broken rasp. "Yes, I knew everything." I knelt, looking at the face I once adored, now a stranger's. "I just have one question," I said, asking the only thing I still didn't understand. "Why?" A terrible, broken laugh escaped her lips, tears mixing with the sound. "Why?" She looked at me, her eyes filled with a toxic cocktail of jealousy, resentment, and madness. "Because you're always you, Ethan. Always perfect, always in control. You design a building, and they call you a genius. You start a company, and it's an overnight success. You're always so perfect. And what am I? I'm just a woman standing in your shadow. I'm just that's the famous architect's wife. I hate it. I hate you for it. There was the truth. It wasn't that I wasn't good enough for her. It was that I was too good. My success had become a mirror reflecting her own insecurities, and she despised me for it. What a pathetic, tragic reason. I stood up, turning my back on her for the last time. Chloe, I said, you have engaged in conspiracy to commit fraud, forgery, and commercial racketeering. I will be submitting all of this evidence to the district attorney. Our marriage is over, and you will get nothing. It wasn't negotiation. It was a verdict. With the recordings of her plotting to defraud me of our property and the hard evidence of her attempt to steal my company, I held all the cards. She would walk away with nothing but a criminal record. Mark Harris and his crew, due to the scale of their fraud and racketeering, received heavy prison sentences. Chloe, as a co-conspirator, didn't escape justice either. She was convicted on multiple counts and sentenced to 8 years. I saw her one last time at her sentencing. She was in a prison jumpsuit, her long hair shorn off, looking gaunt and broken. Her eyes met mine, pleading, filled with a regret that had come far too late. I held her gaze for a moment, then looked away. Love, hate, pity, regret. All of it had burned away. All that was left was ash. I felt nothing for her at all. As for Brenda, the ordeal broke her. She sold the condo, took her kids, and moved out of state, away from the site of her public humiliation. Before she left, she had a neighbor pass a message to me. It just said, "I'm sorry, and thank you." The Summit Residents Facebook group went nuclear after I anonymously created a Dropbox link with all the evidence, the photos, the audio files, the police report, and posted it. The same people who had been mocking me and calling me a coward just days before did an immediate 180. Holy yes, what a plot twist. Ethan Cole is a legend. So that's what was going on. I knew he wasn't just going to sit there and take it. He was playing the long game. Brenda got screwed over so bad. Mark and that Chloe are actual monsters. Those two deserve everything they get. Thank God Ethan was smart enough to stop them, or they would have destroyed him. I scrolled through their fickle, self-serving comments and felt a profound sense of boredom. I messaged the group admin and had myself removed. I was done with all of them. After the dust settled, I decided not to sell the penthouse. I hired a cleaning crew and had them purge the apartment of every last trace of Chloe. Every piece of clothing, every book, every photograph. Then I spent the next month renovating it, redesigning it to my own specifications. When I finally stood in the new living room, looking out at the familiar panorama of the San Francisco skyline, I felt a sense of peace I hadn't known in years. This home had been a monument to our love, then a prison of my grief, then a battleground for my survival. Now, stripped bare and rebuilt, it was simply mine. My phone buzzed on the kitchen island. It was a text from my partner, Leo. "Ethan, we just got a huge opportunity. It's a design competition for a new 7-star hotel in Dubai. The client specifically requested a proposal from you. Dinner this weekend to strategize." I picked up the phone and typed back a single word. Yes. Outside, the night was dark and deep. Inside, the lights were bright. A new chapter of my life had already begun.